Welcome to the Household Cavalry Museum, here at Horse Guards, the front entrance to the royal residency. We're related to King Charles I, who had his head chopped off in the street, just outside of our building. Our founder was King Charles II, and we're thrilled that in May 2023, our regiment will protect the monarch as he goes into the coronation ceremony and is crowned King Charles III. At the museum, we look at the Battle of Waterloo, an epic battle in 1815. Our regiment played a huge part in it, and we still wear an eagle on the arm of the Blues and Royals today. We have a copy of our eagle here behind me. Our real one is ready for the National Collection at the National Army Museum. It's a very important time in our history. A gentleman called Francis Styles captured the eagle and was known for it all over the kingdom. We know a lot about the commanding officers at our battles from history, but we know very little about the soldiers involved. 100,000 soldiers took part in the battle and were wounded. It was an absolutely incredible day in the history, but the capturing of this eagle led to peace in Europe for over 100 years. On Tuesday, 12th of June 2007, the Household Cavalry Museum was opened by Her Majesty the Queen, Colonel-in-Chief of the Life Guards and the Blues and Royals. We're thrilled to have a very close relationship with the royal family. Both Princes William and Harry have served with us in the Blues and Royals, and Princess Anne is the Colonel of the Blues. Behind me is a gold state case. Our trumpeters wear these when the monarch's present. They're absolutely beautiful, and the original formation of them were 40% pure gold threads. These were created in the 1600s by King Charles II. They were gifted to him by the Lord Mayor of the City of London. So very occasionally, if you see the Lord Mayor's show in November, you'll also see these on the state trumpeters at the Lord Mayor's show. I can tell you that the piece behind me is an Elizabeth II reign. A bit obvious, there's an E2R on that. We do have a Victorian one, and we're very excited about the coronation because the C3R, the King Charles III coats, will be displayed for the first time at a king's coronation. The Household Cavalry is made up of two regiments, rather uniquely. We have the Life Guards in red, scarlet tulips and white plumes to denote that these are Life Guards. And we have the Blues and Royals in navy. They wear navy tunics and have red plumes. Our regiment's made up of two sides. Everything we do is dual. We are operational and we're ceremonial. We're Life Guards and we're Blues and Royals. But everything we do is to protect the monarch at home and abroad, and it's a great honour to be part of the Household Division. Every cavalry soldier is given a pair of boots. When they first get them, they're soft leather boots, and they have to make them parade ready. And how they do this is a very unique process. They get a lump of beeswax and a blowtorch. They blow the blowtorch over the beeswax. Then they take the side of the shoe polish tin lid, scrape it up and down the boot, and then rub in boot polish. It's beeswax, boot polish, kilograms worth of weight to make these boots the most beautiful pieces of kit in existence. You can always tell a good cavalryman by how good their boots are. Why would you clean a boot to that level? Well, if you're riding full broad, some of the bits of the kit the horse next to you would scratch your boot. Instead of throwing the whole thing away, the soldier is able to identify that small section that needs work and refill the boot polish on the beeswax, layer by layer, until it's parade ready again. We protect this building, the Horse Guards building, as part of the King's Lifeguard duty. Every day, it's the bread and butter of the regiment. But when we do the big events, the state occasions, the coronation, the weddings, those boots are in a perfect shine. Now I'm going to pass you over to a member of my team who can tell you a little bit more about what you can see here at the Household Cavalry Museum.
My name's Derek Redding. I'm the manager of the Household Cavalry Museum here at Horse Guards. We're in this old stabling area of the building, utilised by the Life Guard until 2007 when the museum was moved here from Combermere Barracks in Windsor. So the building was built in 1750 and we utilised part of the stabling area. And when the building was originally created here for the cavalry, it was able to stable 70 horses in total. Today, a maximum of 16 can be stabled in the stalls that the King's Lifeguard now uses. Here we have one of the ceremonial bridles that the Household Cavalry use for their horses, a black head kit it's called. It has 2 sets of reins, and the reason for this is if one set was cut through by swords on the battlefield, you had a second set that you could utilise. They have here something that's called a bright chain. This was to protect the horse's head from sword blows, but really on the battlefield, if both sets of reins had been damaged, you could use this to control the horse as you were fighting. It has a head store, which protects the horse's head from sword blows as well. And then on the front of the, what they call the martingale part of the bridle, you have a Waterloo and Peninsular Boss. It's a battle honour for the Household Cavalry. They took part in all the major battles leading up to the Battle of Waterloo, and it's an achievement that the Household Cavalry are very proud of indeed. We've now moved into the main gallery of the museum here at Horse Guards, and I'm going to point out here the Zetland Trophy. It was a tradition that when an officer left the regiment, he presented the officer's mess with a small piece of silver. Lord Zetland forgot to do this, and a year or so later he was reminded of his mistake by a letter arriving from the cavalry. When he realised what he'd done, he asked them to buy something and send in the bill. That was another mistake because they went to a silversmith, had the Zetland Trophy created and sent in the bill for £900. And when we opened the museum in 2007, that was the equivalent of £250,000. So he paid, because he was a very wealthy gentleman, but I think the tradition has now ended where you present the officer's mess with the silver. When you arrive at the Household Cavalry Museum, you'll see there's a large bronze statue just outside of a gentleman on a horse. That gentleman is Garnet Wolseley, and you can see him here in the small bust that we have on display. He revamped the British Army when he was serving, and such was the efficiency of what he instituted that he was lampooned on at least 2 occasions by Gilbert and Sullivan. And you've probably heard about the very model of a modern Major General. Well, that was Garnet Wolseley, who you see here and just outside the museum. The Household Cavalry Museum honours all those, both soldiers and horses, that have served with great distinction over its almost 400-year history. One horse in particular, you can see illustrated here, was Freddie the horse. He served during the Boer War in South Africa from 1899 to 1901. Came back, and when he was introduced to Queen Alexandra, she was so impressed with the bravery that he'd shown on the battlefield that she asked a lady-in-waiting to write a letter decreeing that he, Freddie, like all the returning soldiers, be issued with a medal for having served in the conflict, which you can see on the martingale part of the bridle on display here. He wore that out on duty in Whitehall, and then when he died, such was the esteem he was held in by the members of the Household Cavalry that he lies in a grave which is still there under a tree at Combermere Barracks in Windsor. When the Household Cavalry was founded in 1660, King Charles II was emulating not only the ancient Roman traditions, but he was also emulating the French Royal Guards that he'd seen. So when you see various items of ceremonial uniform that the cavalry utilise today, some of them will have French names. So we have a steel breastplate, that's called a cuirass, and we also have these pouches, but they're known as cartouche boxes. So they're held on the back of a white leather belt, and in the past they would hold ammunition and other items. Today, I have to say, if you ask the guard and he was able to talk to you, because they're not allowed to speak when they're out on duty, and he opened the cartouche box, you may find that he had his mobile phone in there, some keys and other bits and pieces. But there is lots of both ancient Roman traditions and French traditions that the Household Cavalry have drawn together, as well as their own unique British traditions.
Traditionally, every day, the Lifeguards and the Blues and Royals switch over, and the King's Lifeguard duty is taken over for the next 24 hours by what we call the New Guard. At 10 o'clock in the morning, they would have mounted up. Everything they're wearing and their horses would have been checked. The best dressed soldier gets the easiest, best job for the next 24 hours while they're on duty here at the Horse Guards building doing their King's Lifeguard public duties. This building must be protected 24 hours a day because it's the front entrance to the royal residences. Our type of horse is a cavalry black horse. They have to be part Irish draft horse. We don't have a breeding program, but every summer we go to an area in Ireland called Limerick and we choose these beautiful beasts to join the regiment. They come over, they go into quarantine, and then they start their training. They have to be 16 hands 2 at the shoulder and as black as possible, because that's what King Charles II told us in the 1600s. If you see any horses on duty that are slightly brown, it's because the horses have been washed and shaved. The hair underneath is a slightly lighter colour, but it'll grow black all the way through and it'll be a perfect black colour by the time the coronation ceremony happens. When you have a 6-foot soldier and a 16-hand 2 Irish draft horse, it makes a one-man tank. And that's what Charles II wanted to create to protect himself when he became king. Thank you for joining us at the Household Cavalry Museum. We've seen a little bit, but there's so much more to see. So do come down and visit us. We're at the Horse Guards building, front entrance to the royal residences in the heart of Royal London.